and welcome to the 9th episode of Fiber of My Being, a podcast about knitting and crocheting and spinning and yarn dyeing and whatever else I feel like doing on every day. I'm just a general fiber enthusiast, and my name is Megan. I will be your host today and every day. And I live in Pennsylvania with my husband Paul and our 3 cats, and they've made lots of appearances before. And you can find me on Ravelry and on Instagram as Fiber of My Being. I've changed my Instagram name, so for consistency's sake. So you can find me on both of those platforms as Fiber of My Being. And also, please go to Ravelry and check out the Ravelry group for this podcast, the Fiber of My Being podcast group. Lots of cool stuff over there, and I'd love you to join the conversation about knitting and fiber things, because it's great to talk with people who enjoy the same things. So, the lighting in here is a bit weird today because it's a pretty gloomy day outside. It's pretty cold and overcast, and I'm wearing a very appropriate scarf. This is not a recent finished object. I knit this a year or 2 ago, but this is the Snowflake Ascot. The pattern's by Pam Powers from her book Dress to Impress Knitted Scarves, and I've knit most of the scarves in that book, so but I really like this one with the snowflake pattern on the front, and then these lovely cables. This was the first time I did like all stockinette cables, and this was knit out of Cascade 220 in their DK weight, in just a blue color and a white color. I wasn't very good at keeping track then of details of yarn when I knit this. So anyway, that's what I'm wearing today. And yeah, if I'm looking down a lot, it's because my show notes are here and I still rely on them quite heavily. And I'm kind of throwing this episode together on the fly, so I might be looking down a lot. Apologies for that. So, the good news was that I only cast on one new thing this week. And that thing is already an FO. So I'll be sharing that in just a minute. And the reason I cast on that one thing was because I wanted something very easy to take with me for my family reunion that happened the Saturday after Thanksgiving. And so we traveled down to, my aunt and uncle live in Doylestown, Pennsylvania, which is outside of Philadelphia, and they were the ones hosting the reunion. So we went and stayed with them for a couple of nights, because we're one of the further reaches of the family, so we had further to go than a lot of people, and it was just really great staying with them and getting to explore the area because it's a great town. And yeah, I will tell you a lot more recap about the reunion in stash enhancements, because there are stash enhancements and they are directly related to the reunion. And I'm gonna turn off this light now. So yeah, I do have stash enhancements, and they are directly related to events that happened at the reunion. So yeah, and I think I will share one of my acquisitions, not really a knitting related acquisition, but fiber definitely, because I feel like wearing it more than I feel like wearing this scarf right now. So this was a generous gift from one of my family members. I didn't even catch the name of the family member because it was someone that I'd never met before. But this is a lovely scarf. She had brought like enough of these for every female member of the family. And sorry, the cats are fighting over there. Play fighting mostly, but just keeping an eye on it. So she brought enough of these for every female member of the family. And so we all got to pick one out, and this is the one that I picked. Just lovely blue and brown, kind of spotted. And this is a pashmina. And I didn't really know what that was. I mean, I've heard of it before, partly because Lonely Island raps about it in their song, I'm on a Boat. But I'd heard of it before, pashmina, but I didn't actually know what it was. So I looked it up, because this scarf is like, oh, let me see, 70% pashmina and 30% silk. Which, yes, it feels so lovely and silky. So I looked it up, and I did not know that pashmina was a type of cashmere goat. So I got a cashmere and silk scarf, and it's just all the wonderful. It's just so soft. So this isn't really a knitting related stash enhancement thing. It's just a lovely, wonderful gift that I will treasure forever and always and probably wear all the time. And this is softer than my snowflake ascot. So I'm going with this today. So enough blathering. Sorry, dropped my thing and I didn't want it to become a cat toy because they will play with it. So I will move on now to finished objects. Yay! And the first finished object is also my only cast on for this week, and it is this hat. And I've been wanting to knit with this yarn since I got it a few months ago, or weeks, I don't remember. I'll show a close-up of the texture first. This is knit out of Knit Picks, oh, I can't remember the name. Knit Picks City Tweed. It's their Aran / heavy worsted weight. So it's this lovely, I believe this was the Cobalt colorway. So it's this lovely bluish color. It looks a lot deeper blue in real life than it's showing up in the picture, but like I said, I have terrible lighting here, especially today. I really need to figure out how to do better lighting in general for these podcasts, but you get the idea from this, and I'll probably share a photo on Instagram of this so you can get a better look at the color. But I really love this yarn. I don't remember the exact specifications, but it's part wool, part alpaca, and then of course part Donegal tweed, which gives it the lovely tweedy look. And so I decided to knit out of it a hipster hat by TinCanKnits. So this hat is knit inside out, and then flipped right side out. And it just looks so lovely and hipster, and I'm going to put it on my head now. So it's like just the right amount of slouchy and just the right amount of stretch. And it's basic, but it was super fun to knit too. So I enjoy it a lot. And this is the kind of hat, I usually wear my hats more down on my forehead, but this is the kind of hat that I just feel like it looks better just kind of up off my forehead, just slouchy, and still covering my ears, because that's the wonderful thing about this hat. And I don't know if I said, but this is a TinCanKnits pattern, It is a paid-for pattern, but I got it last year during the like 12 Days of Christmas giveaway, where there was a free pattern every day. So this is my only knitting finished object this week. But that's because I was working on lots of longer term projects this week, so I didn't get a whole lot done. But I took this to the reunion and was just knitting on it while I was walking around talking to people. And I would have finished the whole hat if I hadn't been stupid and forgot to take double pointed needles to do the decreases. So I had to wait till I got home for that. But I could have finished it. I really could have. So that's my only cast on this week, and also my only knitted finished object. But I do have more finished objects, just not knitting related. My kitten is trying to eat coupons. She just cracks me up. I wish that you could see how my cats are behaving while I'm filming this podcast, because then you would know why I'm a little bit distracted and constantly laughing. Oh, hi Esther, are you gonna join me? Nope. Nope. Not gonna happen. Okay, on to the rest of my finished objects. So I showed you part of this little lady before, but I have finally given her the means to move, and that is this little needle felted fox. So I tried to do a little bit of movement, so I needle felted the legs like she's walking. I've decided this is a she. And I very badly embroidered on facial details. I'm not so good at that. The tail is all curved and everything. And so I finally got around to doing the legs. And it's not the best thing in the world, but I just kind of freestyled this. So I think it worked out. You can tell it's a fox. It'll make a nice ornament for our Christmas tree of woodland creatures. So I finished that yesterday. And the orange wool is actually mohair, so that's fun. There's this stand at the Pennsylvania Farm Show that sells little amounts of different colored wools and sometimes different types of wool. And so they had some mohair, so I got that. And the white is just some sort of wool, possibly Corriedale. It felt very Corriedale-like, but I really know nothing about identifying wool by feel. So I finished this, but then that's not all. I kept my needle felting needle out and just went crazy. And I needle felted another thing. And I am super, super happy with this, even though the eyes look a little bit wonky. And this was very slapdash. I finished it in maybe an hour. This is a little owl. And I'm kind of basing it off of great horned owls, hence the horns there. But I just kind of freestyled this too. There's no legs, but there is a little place where it could perch on something, like owls are wont to do. And yeah, I'm just super, super happy with this owl. And this, I don't really know what the fiber is that I used for this, but it was just lovely and wonderful, because all of these color variations in the owl here, like that and this, that was all just kind of built into the wool, if you will. It was just a wool that got lighter at one end, and it's just this lovely natural colored wool, and I love it so much. So I made my fox friend and owl friend. And of course they are not at all to scale with each other because owls are not this big compared to foxes. But I wasn't really going for scale. I was just going for something that's recognizable as the animal that I meant it to be. So these are only my second and third needle felting projects, and I made both of these up as I went along. I actually have my first needle felting project to show you because, yep, it's also a little fuzzy animal. And I made this from one of the basic needle felting kits. So it's an eagle, it's a little hedgehog, which I really like hedgehogs, only they're illegal in Pennsylvania for, oh no, the eagle, it went away. I'll be back. Don't want it to become a cat toy because I came home last night and this had been sitting just on the box full of wool, and I found that one of our cats had batted it around like a toy. So I don't want the same thing to happen to this little guy. But this was from a basic needle felting kit, and that was the first thing I ever needle felted. And normally this lives over on my bookshelf in a little pot with my crocheted baby dancing Groot because I love Guardians of the Galaxy and I had to make a Groot. So yeah, normally this lives over there, but I think that this might become a Christmas ornament. Even though it's not technically a Pennsylvania woodland creature, that's why hedgehogs are illegal to own as pets in Pennsylvania, because they have the potential to become very easily invasive, because they're not native here, but it's very much like their native habitat. So that's why I can never have a hedgehog and live in Pennsylvania at the same time. But that's okay. I have lots of other furry creatures, and I have my own little fake hedgehog. So, in conclusion, I stab all the animals. Yep, that's what I do. It felt very wrong stabbing all of these animals into existence, but that's how it works, so. Okay. My kitten is definitely causing trouble. I'll be back. She's been eating carpet. Yeah, it's not good. She's in her kind of terrible twos phase, I think. Alright, so that is all of my finished objects. Just the hat and the needle feltings. But I've gotten a lot of other work done this week, so let's talk about that, shall we? First off is my Print O' the Wave Stole by Eunny Jang. Again, super sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. I really have no clue how to pronounce it. And I've been making, sorry, frog in my throat. I've been making a lot of progress on this. I'm not sure if I had this corner turned last time when I podcasted. I don't think I did, because I think I turned this corner on my way down to the family reunion. But I turned the corner and I knit all the way down the long side. All the way. And you can't tell right now, but I actually have turned this next corner. I just haven't started working along the short side again yet. So I still have a short side and a long side to do. And I'm kind of playing yarn chicken. Like, whoa. Because I have about 18 grams left of lace weight yarn. So I'm really, really hoping that this will be enough to get me the rest of the way around the border. Because if not, this will be devastating. And this yarn is dyed by Shirsty Cat Designs. It's on her Lovely Lace base, which is 100% merino. And although because it's lace, it doesn't feel as soft as merino normally would, I think. But I'm okay with that because I'm not obsessed with soft wools. I mean, I can appreciate them, but I like all wools because they're all fluffy. But it's merino, and the color is Springtime, which, yes, this nice springy tonal green color. And I'm just really, I know I've said this before, but I'm really loving how it's knitting up with just the slight tonal variations. It's not too busy for the lace pattern, so I'm hoping to knit more of the short side today, maybe even finish it. I don't know. Just the short side. No way I'm finishing this whole shawl today. But I'm hoping to knit some of the short side. Keep making progress because I really want to know as soon as possible whether this yarn is going to last or whether it's going to run out on me. So, I think that's all I have to say about that shawl. Stay tuned to see how my game of yarn chicken ends. Hopefully it'll be done by the next time I podcast. For better or worse, it should be over. So yeah. The second work in progress that I've been working on is my 2 at a time socks, my very first pair of 2 at a time socks. These haven't grown enormously much because I spent a lot of time at the reunion working on the Hipster Hat and working on the print Oh the Wave stole. But I did work on this a little bit, especially while traveling. So yeah, they've grown just a bit. And this is Premier sock yarn in the Grand Canyon colorway. And oh, cats. Yeah, and I'm just loving how it's knitting up. It's looking really nice. And I've been enjoying this 2 at a time process so far. We'll see how I feel once it's over, but this could actually make me more of a sock knitter. And that would be pretty cool. Because I do like nice knitted socks. I'm wearing some right now. I can't show you right this second, but maybe I'll show you when I show you another grand surprise. Okay? So yeah. And that's been living in my owl project bag, which I put a key ring on so that I can carry it around with me. I've been just carrying it around with my pinky and knitting like that. And I just got key rings to add to my other bags because I only had the one key ring in the house. So yeah. And then I'm not going to show you this next work in progress because it's kind of buried in the corner right now. But I have been working a bit on my temperature blanket. I'm now partway through November. I was really hoping to catch up with November before December started, but it just hasn't worked out that way. But I think I'll be able to catch up before the end of the year. So that would be great. So just wanted to keep you updated on that progress because I have actually been working on it. But of course I couldn't take it with me in my travels to the reunion because it's really big and I didn't want to, it really wasn't worth it to take that huge project when I had other things that I could work on. So yeah. And then last knitting work in progress right now is that I did actually make a minuscule amount of progress on my honeycomb pullover. I almost finished the whole of this diamond pattern. So it's starting to shape up a bit more. I worked on this a bit at my family reunion as well. and they all really liked it. This was my Irish side of my family, and so this Aran pullover pattern is very fitting. Cats. That's all I'll say. So, yeah, I have been making a little bit of progress on this. This is the Honeycomb Aran pullover by Patton's, and I'm knitting it out of Knit Picks Wool of the Andes in the Brass Heather colorway, and the more I knit with this color, the more I love it. So, yeah, I'm really happy with this decision. So, hoping to keep working on this. This hasn't been seeing a whole lot of love, mostly because I've been working a lot on the print Oh the Wave Stole, but if I can get that finished, then I think that I'll start working on this a lot more. And this is just living in my Pennsylvania Woodland project bag with the deer and the owls on the one side and the fireflies on the other. So, yeah, that's all my knitting works in progress. I do also have a little bit of a spinning work in progress, but it kind of leads into acquisitions. So I'm going to save that until I get to acquisitions. And acquisitions is kind of affected by my week in review. So I'm just going to start talking about that. And everything's all going to kind of be jumbled together. So, as you know, I went to my family reunion this weekend. Paul and I went together. I was really worried about leaving the cats, especially because we haven't left our new kitten, Agatha, home alone overnight before. But they were fine. They seemed to still be kicking and fighting and not dying of starvation, which I'm glad about. I know that's an unreasonable worry for me to have, but I'm always a little bit worried, even leaving them home for a couple of nights, that something's gonna happen and they're not gonna be okay. But they were. They are fine. They are more than fine. They are crazy. But yeah, so we went to the reunion, and while we were there, I was expecting a package. I placed an order with Knit Picks during one of their monthly sales, and I was expecting the package, and I was really hoping it would get here before we left on Friday, Black Friday after Thanksgiving, and it didn't. It got here on Saturday when I was in Doylestown, so I was kind of worried about like this possible package sitting on the porch, possibly getting stolen, because nobody steal my yarn, please. Don't do it. But it was actually small enough, and it was just in a bag, so the mail lady just stuck it in the mailbox, so it was fine and dandy. So I did get my Knit Picks order, and I'm going to show that to you first. I got 2 balls of each of these, so 100 grams for both of my yarns. And so the first thing I got was Knit Picks Shadow in the Fox Heather colorway. This is a lace weight, 100% merino yarn. And I got this because I'm enjoying knitting with this lace weight so much that I want to knit more lace things, because apparently I really like lace. So this is the Fox Heather colorway. It's just this lovely purple, almost like a grape color. And I just think that this will make something really nice. So I have 2 skeins of that, which totals 840 yards between the 2 of them. So that should be plenty for me to knit another sort of lace shawl or something. Oh my gosh. My cats are crazy. And then I also got some Lindy chain. Now I got both of these when they were having sales on specific colors of specific yarns. I guess because the colors weren't as popular or something like that. But actually, these would have been my first choice colors anyway. I really like this purple. And I really love this, it's called Honey colorway. And this is Lindy Chain, like I said. It's a 70% linen and 30% Pima cotton. I don't know if that's how you say Pima. I don't know. 70% linen, 30% cotton. It's a fingering weight. And the texture on this yarn is really interesting because it's kind of a change yarn. I don't know if you can, there, you can sort of see it. So it's got a very interesting texture. And I have a possible shawl wrap thing in mind for this. I have 2 balls, so that should be plenty to complete it with. And yeah, I was really excited about this because this is my first yarn that has linen in it. And I've always wanted to work with linen. So now I can. So I got those. Those were later than most of my acquisitions because I didn't actually get them until we got home. But I was expecting them, so I figured I'd start out telling you about them. So then, a little bit of a reunion recap. Oh, I pulled a thread out of my pashmina. Sad day. A little bit of reunion recap. It was a great reunion. I got to see lots of my extended family and also meet lots of people that I've never even met before. There was a picture of me sitting on some lady's lap when I was a baby, and I got to meet that lady. And who knew I was once sitting on her lap? They talked about having us recreate that picture, but I'm kind of glad that that didn't happen. So yeah, it was really fun. Such good food. My aunt went all out and got a caterer for the event, and the food was amazing. And I want to make every single thing that they made in my own house in large quantities and eat it all. My favorite thing was they had these little garlic crostinis, and they had a butternut squash puree on one end of it and like whipped herbed goat cheese on the other end. And I don't normally like squash that much. It's a little too sweet for my tastes, but the squash with the goat cheese and the herbs and the garlic crostini, it all just worked so perfectly together. It was amazing. But I won't talk too much about food because I could make an entire show about the food that was at that reunion. But I won't. I will just tell you that it was great, and I got a lot of knitting done while I was chatting with people, and lots of people were really interested in what I was doing. So yeah. And the night before the reunion, Paul was flipping through his Facebook feed, and he discovered a friend who was at a knitting and spinning store in the area. We weren't sure how close, but I was like, how much out of our way would it be to go to this store? And then I asked my aunt where the store was, and she was like, oh, it's 15 minutes away. So we went. On Saturday morning before the reunion actually started, Paul and I and my little sister and my cousin, we all piled in the car and drove to this knitting store, and it was amazing. There are so many yarns that I've always wanted to like see and hold and feel, and I actually was able to. There were a whole bunch of fennel garns and stricka garns, and that was awesome. I was really tempted to get some because I've been watching so much Skein-Deer knits, and so I really want to get my hands on that. But I had gone specifically for spinning fiber, so I told myself I wasn't going to get any yarn. Sometime I will go back and visit my aunt and uncle and go to that store and get all of the things. They also had crazy Zauer balls, which I really enjoyed seeing. They had lots of opal sock yarn and Of course, like Madeline Tosh and so many things. They had a yarn with possum in it, which I can appreciate because they're pretty invasive to New Zealand, and so it's good to make things out of them. And they had yarn with Angora. It was 100% Angora yarn, and I loved it so much. I really want to get an Angora bunny because I like bunnies in general, and also because fiber. And I'm actually in talks with a breeder who said I can come visit anytime to start learning about what it takes to get an Angora bunny. So that's probably a bit down the road, but it was so nice to feel what could be in my future. But anyway, in the back they had this lovely spinning section, and I got a few fibers to try out. So this is their bag. Let me get the tag out of the way. Twist Knitting and Spinning Shop in Doylestown. Wonderful place. There's going to be a lot of crinkling because this stuff is still in its plastic bags. So, first off, I got, all the sticky. I got some undyed silk hankies that I'm hoping to dye and spin up. But I might wait until after winter because it's just sticking to my dry hands like crazy. But silk hankies, I like working with these. And then I got, it didn't come in a braid. It was like by the ounce fiber, which I've never actually done before. But I just decided to braid it up as I was going along so that it would be easier for me to carry and everything. So this is a braid of, I don't actually know how to say this word. It's either Targhee or Targhee wool, which is a mix of several sheep breeds. And it's really nice. I've never encountered Targhee wool before, so I just thought it would be fun to try. They had lots of merino, which I mean I like merino, but I've had some issues with spinning it lately. And they had some beautiful bags of BFL, like natural colored BFLs, in like this reddish white color and this dark brown color. And oh my gosh, it was wonderful. I don't know why I didn't get some of that. I think it's probably because I thought this would be more difficult to find other places. So I got this lovely braid of Targhee, whatever it's called. And then I got a braid of mohair. So I'm super excited about that. It's so shiny, and I've never spun mohair before. I've needle felted it, but I haven't spun it. So I'm excited about that. So wools. I just got small amounts, mostly because, well, I'm on a budget, and also I just wanted to sample different types of wool. I could have gotten just a large amount of one for probably the same price, but I wanted to sample and try things out. Plus, I can only spin so much on my drop spindle, so that was my thinking in why I only got a certain amount of things. But that thinking kind of went out the window because I got to bring something home. And if you follow me on Instagram, you may have seen a picture of this. My aunt that we were staying with was so generous. And she told me that I could borrow, because she wasn't using it, her spinning wheel. I'm gonna flash over to where this is sitting in my knitting corner. And go down to show you the plaque, maybe. There's the plaque. Guys, she let me borrow her Ashford traditional spinning wheel because she hasn't been using it. she doesn't spin very often, and she saw that I was spinning on my drop spindle, and so she let me bring it home. And oh my gosh, it's been wonderful. So that leads into my spinning whip a little bit, because I have been spinning a little bit of wool onto the bobbin. It's been taking a lot of time for me to learn how to use this properly, because it's very different than my drop spindles. But it's been fun. So I have some spinning on the bobbin that's better than this, but this was the first ball of stuff that I tried to spin up. It's really bad. I wasn't putting nearly enough twist into the yarn. I was kind of feeding it in too quickly. So I learned from that, and my bobbin full of yarn is a bit better. And she also let me borrow a Turkish spindle. So I'm super excited to try using this, because I've wanted to try it. And this is a pretty nice Turkish spindle. And she gave me 2 baskets full of wool. So there's this lovely, just fluffy white something. Feels a lot like Corriedale or Merino, or it's soft and fluffy and very white. And then there's this other basket of wool that's a little bit more gray and kind of speckly. It's got a lot of veg in it, but that's okay, because I understand that sheep live outside and they get plants stuck in them sometimes. So this is the wool that I've been practicing on. But I did not realize until one day I decided to pull out this wool to see how much there was. I didn't realize that she had also sent this along underneath it. And this wool, I just really love these colors together. This green and brown and pinks and these lovely oranges. I really, really love this. And it's really awesome. And it was just hiding under this grayish white wool. So, yeah. It was super generous of her to let me borrow this. She says she wants it back eventually, which I totally understand because, well, it's a spinning wheel. It's super pricey. But she's letting me borrow it, and I think that's awesome because now I can try out spinning wheels and see if I like working on a spinning wheel before I decide to invest in one of my own. So, yeah. I am just speechless. I managed to fit this huge traditional spinning wheel into my tiny little sedan car. And yeah, I brought it home. Additionally, this isn't a really fiber-related gift, but as I'm getting into sewing and admiring quilting, I just appreciate this. My aunt gave me a little Vera Bradley purse thing that she was clearing out her stash of things, and so she gave this to me. And I like it because it's quilty. That's what I appreciate about Vera Bradley. It's quilty and squishy and pretty. So yeah, and then I do have a little bit more stash enhancement because I took a trip to Joann the other night because I still had a few more fat quarters that I could make bags out of, but I didn't have any more zippers. So I got a gray zipper to make stuff out of. I also got some more key rings, like I was saying, to put in my project bags to help carry them. And then I also went a little crazy and got a couple of fabrics to make another bag. I got this lovely polka dot fabric to coordinate with this zoo animals in hot air balloons fabric. There's like a zebra and a lion. On this side there's an elephant and a monkey. And I don't even know what all. Just wonderful things. And I grew up around hot air balloons, and I also really like animals, in case you haven't figured that out from like every project bag that I've made and all the needle felting I've done and everything. So I like animals. So I figured that these two would look nice together. This will be the outer, obviously, and then this is just like a colorful, fun, kind of neutral thing to go with it. And I got this nice turquoise zipper to go with it. So, I haven't gotten around to sewing any more bags up yet, but I'm looking forward to doing that. And, yeah, I think that's about it. I'm just going to, I'll sign off, and then I'm going to film another little segment to give you a better look at the spinning wheel, because I understand I couldn't really see what I was doing when I was turning things, so it was probably a shaky and awful view of things. And it deserves to be viewed in a good light. So, so yeah, I will do that and show you all the exciting things. And yeah, I hope to have some more things done for next week, like my finished, completed, had enough yarn for it print of the wave stole, because that would be awesome. And hopefully some spinning. I am going to keep spinning my previous whips on drop spindles, because I don't want any sort of change in the style of the yarn for ones that I already have skeins done of. But I have a lot of wool that I can start spinning on the wheel, so that should be exciting. So I'm just rambling now, so I should probably stop that. So I will just bid you farewell and happy knitting. Bye!